What's up, guys? So real quick, let me see. Are we all live? I think we are. Good. So let me get my mic in order here. Start up this video. And let me know in chat if you guys can hear me okay, or if I need to turn up my volume. We are very early, obviously. It seems like every single live show that we do here, it's always me trying something very new. And so this is the first time that we've used this new studio, meaning that we were able to get internet working here, which is going to be its own little separate story, I'm sure. But yes, big victory there. We were able to get the internet up and running. Sounds great, good, good. Volume's good. So Rico's going to be stopping by a little bit, turn it up a little. All right. How does that sound? Thanks, Sagi, by the way. Thank you, thank you. This is going to be the SPS live show. So we'll be kind of doing like a focus on that. But we're just hanging out for now. I just wanted to make sure that like everything is running properly and everything is well situated. So out of curiosity, can you guys still hear a little bit of an echo in this room? My title keeps looping. Oh, that's interesting. Not entirely surprising there. So, okay, ignore for the fact that my title is looping. Oh, you know that's really kind of interesting. Okay, because when I was exporting that video, it totally bombed my computer. Like it just killed it. So when I went back and actually scrubbed through it, I could actually see the entire thing. But clearly it's looping every 5 seconds. So Reefer's Life, I can barely hear you. Don't know what to tell you there exactly. Okay, so let's go ahead and just clear that layer. And I'm gonna make myself big to take up as much space as possible here. All right, guys. So yeah, that little intro video was gonna be about like 20 minutes or so. And thank everybody on Patreon and kind of like talk through how exactly one of these live shows works. But clearly that won't be happening. So it's no big deal there. Loud and clear. Okay, good, good. So the other thing that's kind of interesting is that there are not carpenters. My plumber is downstairs. He came over for the weekend to do some more work here. So he's actually downstairs like drilling and cutting pipe and stuff like that. So I'll be really curious to see if you guys can hear him working while I'm in the studio. Chris Moore, very slight echo. Yeah, I kind of expect that. So on some social media stuff, on Instagram, on Twitter, and Facebook, there should be some pictures of like what my setup looks like here. When I moved my desks into this room this morning, these desks took up an entire room pretty much all by themselves, and they look like the tiniest little like knick-knack ornament sitting in the room this size. So it's still a very empty room. So I do expect to see quite a bit of an echo. So welcome everybody. Let's see, Rico's Aquariums, who by the way, it's not late yet. Technically we start at 2 o'clock, so he'll be here for that. Reef Dudes, welcome. Johan, Jennifer Ritchie, Pink Floyd Chalice from last live show is doing fabulous. Wonderful. Always good to hear. We've had some goofy shipping situations lately, so I am glad to know that that did work out well. Blue Basin, Chase Witt, Braveheart 525, welcome everyone. Mike the Reefer, what's up? Yeah, lots of room to grow. Wouldn't worry about the reverb. Yeah, I'm not worried about it yet because I think that as this place fills up, because I'm going to be putting in, racks for equipment and stuff like that. That'll be good. So the room sounds good, actually. Thanks, Mike. I think that it's come a long way because previously you couldn't even be in this room and having a conversation. Like, it was so boomy and so echoey. It was really unpleasant. So we've put on, I don't know, like I think I mentioned it in the video, but there's like 8 plus 7 plus corner bass traps plus drapes. There's like a ton of sound dampening that's gone on since then. Waterflow 78. What's on the agenda for today? We are doing SPS. We're doing SPS. We're early, so there's going to be another 15 minutes of just hangout time and making sure that stuff doesn't go terribly wrong. And then we can hop right into a little over 100 or so SPS chorals for your enjoyment. Can you tell I'm a little tired? So yesterday was super exhausting. Obviously, we do the full 8-hour day, but it was actually a little bit longer because Ben and I, we were really close to getting internet working here. I finally did manage to get that that line run to go from the house to here. I actually did hire some pros, or at least I called some pros, and they're like, sure, we can schedule you in about 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, that's fine. 2 weeks is fine, but let's go ahead and try one last time. So I was actually out to dinner with Rico and his wife, and I had mentioned all my issues with that. And he's like, it should be so simple. I'm like, I know it should be so simple, but that's part of the problem. It's not simple. Just nothing is working. And he's like, let me try. And I'm like, okay, we can try one last time. It couldn't hurt, right? And we just tried a couple of different like parachuting methods to just tie the string to a little parachute material and send it. And luckily, we got lucky that the line went through. We were able to pull our fiber optic through. And after that, I mean, we then had to do a whole bunch of work actually networking up the whole building, because like all the ends of the Cat 6 cables needed to be pressed in. We had to hang our little server, rack mount thing up on the wall, get all that stuff plugged in. And finally we did. And it was like fairly late last night that we got done. And then I had to edit all the video for this show. So I didn't get to sleep until pretty late. And then this morning when I woke up, this entire studio here was empty. So we had to move, we meaning like Sean helped me move a couple chairs and a couple desks. Everything else here I set up this morning. So yeah, a little tired. Can't really talk all that well, which is going to work out so well because I have to do this for the next couple hours here. Reef Dudes, for your weekend eye candy pleasure. True, true. And if you would like to purchase it and you're in the United States, now's the time, right? Or in 12 minutes. Dan the Man, how are you? 40B Nasty. Hope that the new shop is coming along swimmingly. It is. Actually, the fact that this is a working studio, I should say it's almost a working studio. It is cold in here. It is 59 degrees because this building is very comfortable right outside this door in front of me. But this particular room is so well insulated that no heat that's going on out there is coming in here. And like we leave the doors wide open. I even turn on the exhaust fans in here so maybe it'll like suck in some of that warm air and kind of heat this place up. No, not so much. Let's see, Tech Gear Talk, are you using the C100? No, this is the C200 right now. So that way we're able to get 1080-60 out of that. Dave's Nanotanks. You should have called me, Than. I run network cables all day long. I did not know that. I didn't even know that you lived in Ohio. I did not realize. I'm sorry, I'm like way behind in chat. Quick question, Joseph Lohman. I have hammers and it almost died a month ago. Copper got in the water. It's recovering, but now there's a big bubble along with the hammers. Could it be splitting off or is it deformed? Not really sure. Sometimes like the tips of those types of corals could get some kind of like a hemorrhage going on and be kind of weird. I wouldn't read too much into it. Keef 555. Did I see copper plumbing on your system? How's that safe to have your water running through the copper pipe? The water from the tanks does not go through the copper. Like purified fresh water is going through that, and it's essentially its own closed loop. So there's really no contact with any of the system water and the water that's making contact with the copper. So the same sort of system is what the same sort of system basically is happening in the greenhouse right now. All of the piping there is also copper, but again, it's a closed loop. So yeah, I mean, I guess that could be confusing, that it looks like we are directly heating the water. It's not. We're not pumping the tank water through the furnaces and stuff. No, it's all sealed up fresh water. Bryce Mattinson, 3 live sales this month. I am in heaven. Oh, thank you, Bryce. I'm glad that you guys like it. I was partly worried that we might be oversaturating things, but I think that if we break up the live shows, like the topics and whatnot, it's not so bad, right? If we do like some for this one, it's the SPS one. The next one is going to be the LPS one. We were planning on doing like a soft coral one, and we kind of went away with that because we're low on soft corals and stuff. So Rico's here. Rico's here. Not even late. Not even late. Pull up a chair.
Of course not.
Yeah, you said that like you're going to be a tad bit later than usual, so
Wow.
There you go. So you're slightly off frame, but no worries. We'll fix that later. There's Rico. I had made a video to be playing in the background, and when I was exporting it, it crashed my computer. And when I came back, I thought that it was working, but all it is like a 5-second loop. So I'm like, no, that didn't work. Made it 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
What's up? Oh, this is no problem. That's just YouTube being silly. Reef Dudes, I'm jealous of all you in the US during every one of these live sales. I'll tell you what, so Reef Dudes, I'm going to be having a conversation tomorrow with somebody on the Canadian side that is very experienced in moving CITES protected animals across the border. And we've been like talking about all the different like logistical issues involved in that. And so she's actually going to be coming here tomorrow, and I'm going to again ask a lot more questions along those lines. Basically how all that works, and what needs to be done on this end, and what volume of coral does it actually make sense to send over, because there's scale issues when it comes to import-export of coral, none of which I actually do. So this is all it's all rather theoretical right now. Yeah, Rico blends in with the black background. Yeah, like we're all wearing black, and it's cold in here. Like I had to bring in a space heater because it's so chilly up in here. Yeah, Rico's not wearing a tank top. It's very cold out.
Yeah, there's snow on the ground.
There's snow, but it's like there's plenty of snow days
really
that are fine.
Cold.
Yeah, it's really very unpleasant.
I actually had shorts on, and I decided to put some sweatpants on.
All right, I'm going to pop this chat out so I can make it a little bit larger and more easily visible for us. And you know what I should probably also do is pull up Facebook, because we are simultaneously broadcasting.
Are we?
Unless you wanted to bring up Facebook on your phone or something. I don't know. Here we go. I'm like the worst Facebook person.
I don't do it.
You don't do it?
My wife does it.
Yeah.
Same with Instagram and whatever. She pretty much handles all that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I only missed one comment. So Dayton Chase Dingham. Hey, boys. Hello. Hello, Dayton. All right. I'm going to get this kind of in place here. I will revisit this occasionally.
Can't you just use that, just blow that section? Just like somehow I think you can just use that.
I'm sure that I'll mess something up and I'll just crash everything. Oh, boy. So I will kind of like stash this in the background there in case anybody on the Facebooks decides to chat with us. 21 here in Alaska, not too bad. Well, I can't complain about Alaska weather compared to what we got.
All right.
So much to read. Wearing black makes them a floating head. Yeah, normally like I don't wear like this much dark stuff, but it's way too cold. In fact, like right on my chair here, it's like I have my full-on coat
black coat
if I need it. Can you explain the Redfield ratio? I don't know what that is.
You don't know what the Redfield ratio is?
No.
Saltwater terms. I'm not getting into it, but yeah. Well, they came up with something else.
Who's the Redfield?
It's the cycle, almost like the phosphates and all that stuff. It's really in-depth stuff, but I'm not getting into it.
Okay.
You'll have to go through it and look at it. So you just like, this to this.
How long has this been a thing?
Quite some time. You never heard of the Redfield
I've
ratio?
never heard of the Redfield ratio.
It's basically, yeah.
It's the ratio of phosphates to nitrates.
Nitrates to, yeah, it's 1 point this, that to this, that. But they revamped it. Like some of these corals that now are not, what is it, acans or the acan Lord acans or whatever. Well, they kind of tweaked this thing. I don't know how long ago back, but now it's so much of this to this. You'd have to get in there and look at it. I'm not getting into it.
Yeah, so my phosphates, whatever that ratio is supposed to be, we have like 1 part per million phosphate. So I'm pretty sure I'm off whatever chart they have.
I can't even remember the numbers anymore because they changed it. So
carbon to nitrate to phosphates.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the nitrogen.
Huh.
Yeah, 106, 16 to 1. But what was the numbers prior to that? I couldn't remember. I can't remember. Or is
Hey,
that
Dan, let
new?
Reek go into the frame.
There we go.
So, yeah, there you go. I'll scoot over just a little bit, and I'll lean this way.
Lean back. No.
Actually, these are comfy chairs.
They really are. I'm like,
these are way nicer.
I could just do this. So we just need to zip this all the way up. No, I can't because I got the mic here and I don't want to screw it up. But just be a real floating head.
So let me know also if I need to turn him up or down.
All you need to know
audio-wise
about it is reef tanks is if you don't have phosphates, you can't lower nitrates, which
with carbon dosing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a carbon dosing based thing.
Yeah, but it's really basically it. In a lot of ways, it's good because it gives you that balance. Like it makes sense, but then again, it's kind of like I'm not whatever with it. I just like to have phosphates at whatever, nitrates, whatever, let everything go.
I'm not really, Mr. Chemistry.
You're not gonna. It ain't like you're gonna utilize it for your growth, your system here. Trust me, you're not. You're not even gonna think about it. So.
You know what I also don't think about? My alkalinity.
Oh, I think about that. I'm sorry.
My alkalinity. So I had one of my suppliers come over and to shop for some stuff in bulk, and he likes how my corals look. I'm not gonna toot my own horn there, but he likes how my corals look, and and they're very persnickety about like how how to run their systems, and they'll take learning cues whenever they can find them. So they took some of the water samples from the corals that he took home, and just did the full gamut of testing just to see where our water chemistry lines up with their water chemistry. And our alkalinity was 3 DKH again. And I was like, well, that's not supposed to be like that, because like we have had 3 DKH before, but it was because we didn't run a calcium reactor for like 6 months. And we are running calcium reactors now. So I'm like, what's the deal with that? We looked at the calcium reactor, looks fine to me. But then upon closer inspection, it kind of has no media in it. We had dissolved
That would do it.
all the media. I've never before done that, where I've literally liquidated everything in there. So we've just basically had a low pH recirculating loop there for months, probably. Couldn't physically see into the unit, so couldn't see that it's basically empty. Gabriel Montero, did you get internet into the studio? Yes, we did. It took us pretty much no real time at all. When we tried to run it one last time, we got it through, and then we spent.
We just tied the string, and I stretched the bag, and
the bag really helped. Yeah. All right, let's start this thing. Hopefully this works. Fingers crossed. Okay, there we are. Whenever I change, you know what I need to do? I need to like make myself smaller. Let me make myself smaller here. Boom.
Yeah, that would help so they can see.
Yeah, so they can actually see the corals. And you know what? Since there's like a little bit of like a little tape delay on YouTube, people are gonna be like, "Move it, fatty! Move your fat heads out of the way." Oh man. Okay, Brady Hubbard. Red field ratio isn't a reef metric as a scientific observation that all biomass in the oceans is somewhat consistent. Okay. I'm new here. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. You know what? I don't think I know what I'm talking about right now.
Me neither.
Yeah, we're
sitting here floating heads on a.
Yeah, because I mean, somebody had just brought up this whole thing about like the red field thing, and I was like, I had never even heard of it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So hey, we all learn these things, huh?
Actually, you know what? I think that'd make a great video because you can look into it and then talk about, even though you don't know what it is, you can kind of.
Those are the worst though. Those are like the worst videos where like.
But you can you could say, hey, I just learned this, but at the same time, I don't, obviously you don't know if it works, if it's true, whatever. But you could just put out a video, so when people want to know about the red field ratio, they can hear you talk a little bit about it.
There's always that difference though when you're talking to or you're listening to somebody that has like an in-depth understanding of something versus somebody that literally Wikipedia'd it 20 minutes before they turned on the camera.
Sure.
And I don't want to be that second guy. Not that I'm like an expert of everything that I talk about, but if I'm already on a live stream on November 10th saying I've never heard of this, and on November 15th I'm making a video about like the.
Well, there's a difference between you making a video and acting like you know what you're talking about. And there's a difference that you said, "Hey, I just learned about this. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel about it?" Blah 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 blah. So just depending on how you. No, I'm good.
Oh boy. Oh, let's see. At Temps, can you ship corals to Illinois? So Jason, the fish guy, we basically have a cutoff at about like 30 degrees.
For sure.
Below that, it gets kind of silly. I mean, we've gone as far as keeping temperature probes in boxes and seeing how like different heat packs, different number of holes punched into the box, different outside temperatures, all that stuff. And really after all that data collection, it just boils down to this. If you're shipping when it's like 20 degrees or cooler outside, it might go poorly. That's all. That's the only variable that really mattered, not the number of holes, not the number of heat packs, nothing. It's the outside temperature. So when it gets like cold at the destination location, we have to play around that. When it's really cold at potential intermediary places along the path of FedEx, So sometimes it's New Jersey, sometimes it's Memphis, Tennessee, sometimes it's Indianapolis. We check all those temperatures as well. Let's see.
Hello, everyone.
No. It's so quiet in your office, too quiet. I feel like there should be music because you don't have any background noise. No cats, no pumps humming. You know what's crazy? So Johan, my plumber is downstairs, like drilling and cutting pipe and everything. So this place is like really nicely insulated.
Maybe when he cuts, maybe I should just open the door so they can hear.
They might not even be able to hear him. I mean, we're far away, so we're like, we're 40 feet from the door practically. Hey, Than, you're a huge inspiration to me. I dropped out of Yale Law to start coral farming. Good luck.
I think you should go back and finish that personally.
Well, in like, I don't knock him for not finishing law school.
Well, of course, that's coming from somebody that,
I mean, like, I don't have a huge benefit from I guess, the piece of paper that said that I completed law school. It's a nice thing to finish though, but but Yale Law and going to like Akron Law are two completely different things. I mean, like
he said Yale.
Yeah, so well, no, it's a completely different environment. Like people coming out of Akron, they're singularly focused on practice, or not in my case. But in Yale, it's like there's kind of this this pressure to be, in government or some type of like power player. Like a justice, that sort of thing, or like a law school professor. There's like the educational component there too. So yeah, it's a very different thing to stick it through there. Like I probably wouldn't have stuck it through like an Ivy League level law school. Wouldn't be all about that. And it's like super highly competitive in those types of law schools compared to what I went through. Like I didn't feel one bit of competition for a single nanosecond of my career in law school. And I'm like, I don't care what anybody else's grades are. I don't care what my class standing is. Let's see.
A huge fan of such tiny people.
We can make ourselves bigger.
Oh, that's funny too.
Here
please.
We go. Oh, you know what? This is too big though.
Yeah,
that's too big. You know what? We're fine. Actually, you could scoot over a little bit. See? You have a little bit of room to work. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, there we go. What happened? What changed?
What changed? I think that I think it was just cut off here when we were all big heads. That's all that was. Could you just go a little bigger? Okay, we should be a little bigger now. A little bit bigger. And hopefully I'm not blocking the text captioning that happens down below. But the text is more or less repetitive.
Right.
Free on orders over 250 is a little cut off, so I'm going to scooch Rico a little over here. Doot. Oh, no. Not far enough. Whatever. You guys get the picture. If you guys have questions about anything that pops up down there, let me know. Joseph said you got the Jedi mind trick from us. Great. That's a nice looking Monty for sure. Adam's Apple, are you a sponsor of Reef to Reef? I am not. Our marketing budget is basically zero. Like everything that we do, we kind of get paid for. So
no,
that's our marketing.
Kind of. That's exactly.
Yeah, it's like basically all of my organic marketing in some way, shape, or form pays us. It's not the other way around. So it's a really weird situation when like it's completely different than every other business. Every other business is like has to pay for advertising, but when you're a content creator, I mean like
we just had a hobbyist that just did a greenhouse, and it's not like your average. It's not like your traditional, like unique corals or worldwide. It's not that type of business. It's not. Would you consider it? Because to me, it's not. It's just more of a hobbyist level, and you're just growing and propagating coral and opening those corals up for people to.
No, because I think that the crowd on Reef to Reef is probably a lot of that. It's a lot of like basement type sellers, as far as their types of.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Is caring for coral difficult, Justin? There's a learning curve, and there's certainly more challenging corals than others. Some of the corals that are on this particular live show, for example, like the Acropora, are going to be tending towards more challenging than most. But there's also plenty of corals that you'll see, like certain things like bird's nest and Postulopora that are a little bit more beginner friendly, but there's stuff that's like really easy to keep. Like there's like corals and anemones that are considered pests that are very difficult to kill. So if you wanted to start with like the absolute easiest, try to find somebody's Anemonia mujano infested tank, like mujano anemones. They're very difficult to kill, and they're pretty. People just don't like them because they'll infest and they sting stuff. But what they look like and how easy they are to keep in their own little small little nano or something, there's nothing wrong with that. Greg Jones, hey Than, who's the muscle in the corner? Two, please, any orange Setosa? I don't know if there is on this show or not. I forget. But if there is not, there's something kind of similar. It would be like a red Anacropora, but I don't know if we have the Setosa. We've always been like slow growing that stuff, probably because I have like a 3DKH in that system.
Yeah, I would say that's going to.
Everything else seems to grow, right?
Contribute.
Lin Nguyen, I received my first order a couple weeks ago. Great, great, looking good.
I'm not cold, but if I take this jacket in this room, I would be cold.
Yeah, it's cold in here. There's a space heater 10 feet away. And okay, I've mentioned this in other videos. This room, this studio, is bigger than my house. So this dinky little heater here probably isn't going to heat up this room.
It's just taking the chill off, but it's still cold.
Yeah.
It'll take where you can't see your breath away, your breath, but it's still cold.
Yeah. Aptasia mojano is easy to keep. Yeah, there you go, right? Okay, Gangstalicious 411. Hey, Than, can you articulate why caring for Acropora is difficult exactly? The biggest thing about Acropora is how temperamental they are. Usually when a coral is in suboptimal conditions, there's a pretty big range as far as what they would tolerate. So like mushrooms, a lot of LPS, not like the biggest deal in the world if salinity is a little off, if calcium is a little off, if alkalinity is, so any kind of like little nuisancey type thing. It's not the end of the world. It's not perfect, but it's probably not going to die either. Acropora are so temperamental that you could go from a completely healthy looking colony one day. The next morning, the entire thing is white and losing its flesh.
Or already lost its flesh.
Or it's already lost its flesh. It's like one day it's gone. Or you see it's like, hey, I noticed it's starting to recede, and by 5 o'clock that same day, it's gone. And it's just that temperamentalness. It's also, and there's always reasons why stuff happens, but some of those reasons might be completely obscured from you. So everything is in your mind is fine. Like I don't understand. Like all of my chemistry is fine. Everything was fine for months, and now all of a sudden I have a completely white skeleton of an Acropora colony.
I even think when it comes to acros, a lot of people think acros are acros; they're all the same. But I find that yes, they are acros, but certain acros are like that. You can have a whole tank that's doing well, and one or two out of the bunch that are kind of the same, like putting a name on it, like Blue Voodoo and Joe the Coral. They almost look identical when it comes to acros. Like you really have to look up close at them to see the difference. But those two corals, let's just say, are the same, and then you got or actually different. And one of them, for some reason, strips because of, like you said, salinity or whatever. It's really weird because I've seen so many corals that are perfectly healthy, but the actual corals are actually, I think, are coming from different depths, different parts, So a lot of these things could cause, even within inside the acro, what they call acros, can cause one acro to have problems and the rest none.
And also just the length of time that acropora are in a system.
That too.
And like we've got one colony of acropora. We just call it a forest green acro. You'll see several examples during the show. We've put those colonies through like hell and back. I mean, like, you know what, yesterday, because this guy forgot to turn on the furnace for the entire
No, you
greenhouse, the temperature dropped down to about like 72.8 or something like that in the tanks, which is still pretty good considering that's an unheated greenhouse in the winter.
Yeah.
But then when I turned it back on over there in the greenhouse, and the problem with my greenhouse heating is that it's one system that controls the heat. So it calls for heat, all the systems get heated together. And if one system is heating up faster and doesn't need any more heat, it doesn't matter, as long it's only being controlled by that one. So one tank went from 72.8 or whatever I said to 84 that day. And then back down to 77 at night. So, I mean, we subject like some of these corals to like really awful conditions.
Spikes.
Like it's a 10-degree spike in 24 hours, right? When those corals can survive like dumb stuff like that happening, like over the years, that sort of stuff probably has happened a dozen times. It's very tough, and I think that just being able to.
Excuse me. Let me help him out here. You need to always do that.
Oh, so it stays at the bottom?
No, so you can see things that you're probably missing. For some reason, YouTube did that. For some reason, Top Chat and Live Chat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, bizarre.
I just noticed that.
Oh,
like
but
you will miss things because of that. But
and real quick, for the Facebook crowd, honey glazed ham white. Her GSP is nearly impossible to kill. Why might mine be closed up for a week now? Everything else looks great. It could just be an accumulation of detritus on it. A lot of times GSP, they'll do fine when they're happy, but like if they're in an area of too low flow, stuff will just build up on it and they'll stop opening. So the best success I've ever had is just when they get blasted by current.
Reef dude say, so Than, what you're saying is basically you have the hardest ones around.
Kind of. So
no, not really, because you got them used to that here, but when somebody else takes it,
yeah, it could be it could be a total crapshoot there. Now, but the other thing is like for years, at least 8 years, we weren't able to keep acros at all. They just would just not survive here. And so like there's these incremental improvements in that regard. And then for the last few years, they weren't coloring up most of the year. Made improvements there. So this is the first year, I would say, that everything stayed colored up the whole year.
Yeah, I will be like, I am actually shocked. Every time I went in and looked at some of those corals, I couldn't believe that they actually kept color, for real. Like, I don't know what you did different, but...
A lot of stuff. We do all kinds of stuff.
Well, I've been so busy, okay. But I was actually like, wow, they're actually holding color. For being out there, that's a...
Yeah. I mean, a big incentive to build this building was specifically to grow coral like acropora that don't necessarily do that well out in the greenhouse. And ironically, they are doing pretty well out in the greenhouse now. My SPS is losing color. Should I increase or decrease light? I've been getting mixed opinions. Yeah, you're going to get mixed opinions on that one. It could be anything when it comes to SPS. That's the problem. It could be any fluctuation. It's not necessarily light. And changing light when the root cause was a fluctuation in something else.
Yeah, I would say don't change your light. If you like your lighting, leave your lighting where it is if you like it, and they will adapt. Now, it's 9 times out of 10, it's not your lighting, it's the parameters. Something,
it could be anything.
Or
something fell into your tank and dissolved.
Exactly.
It could be anything. I mean, it could just be something in the air, like that made it its way into the tank, like just spraying something in the air, like somebody's lotion, or your lotion when you put your hand in the tank. It could be anything.
Or your deodorant when you reached in there and got your armpit hairs and,
Who knows?
Or your wife or significant other sprayed some Lysol or something, or what? Who knows?
Two Please, thank you so much for the $1.99. Two Please is like the patron of the arts,
He is a $1.99 king. I'm about to call him the $1.99 king.
He supports so many channels. So guys, give Two Please some love. I mean, he helps out so many different channels. Like Reef Dudes knows, this guy knows. So thank you, man. We all appreciate it.
That's right.
Got to go. So Chase Wick, got to go. How long is the stream going for? We are going to a little over 100 or so corals. And the live show itself will be available for purchasing stuff probably like around Tuesday or so.
That bottom question right there, he said he has personally noticed that the acros get brown and need more light. They need more light. How do you feel about that? Because I've seen acros in low light and still
maintain color,
like 100 par. Like I had acros in my last system on a sand bed growing. It was only at 100 par, maybe 120.
Yeah.
And
100 and 120 is fine though. That's like
but
what I would call
that's
medium.
not that. But what they say, that's not optimal for acros. You know, they have this 250, 350 range to even some up. You don't really hear too many people saying 100 par for acros.
No, but
I know that. I mean,
people tend to repeat a lot of stuff that they hear.
Yeah, they regurgitate a lot of stuff that they hear.
And it sounds right. I mean, it's like to keep acros, you need like 400 par. You don't.
No,
you really don't. And I think that when you're escalating light to that degree, so anything from like 250 to 400, I consider highlight. So anything in that ballpark should work for the highlight corals. And once you get past that, because there's people that are like, I want 1,000 par. There are.
Yeah.
And it might work for some things, but I think that you're much more likely just to be causing damage when you're talking about ranges like that. So alternatively, there's much less risk going lower than 250. So anything from like 100 to 250 should be able to keep darn near anything.
Yeah. So,
but his specifically was talking about browning out.
Browning out. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if he has a par meter or Adam's apple, don't know. But I would assume even, depending on what lights he's running, no matter what, I would assume he's going to be over 100 par.
Yeah, could be.
Shouldn't have that browning.
No, and so going back to like an earlier point, there's a lot of reasons that might cause a coral to turn brown, a whole bunch. But then again, also, that's not necessarily saying that you should change anything either. Like, let it turn brown, let it figure it out. Because something turning brown isn't necessarily the end of the world. Turning white, that's getting closer to the end of the world. But turning brown means like something disturbed it. It's ramping up its zooxanthellae production.
That's what I was going to say. And that's what they're thinking. Well, blast it with more light, so they'll stop the production of the zooxanthellae.
It's almost like it caught a fever or something. Yeah. It has to like elevate the body temperature, and once that's over with, it'll settle back down and get better coloration.
Balanced out. Yeah. Inside itself.
So Joseph Lohman, $2. Thank you, man.
He said, if Two Please can do it, so
yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Patrick Schultz, I've always wanted to know if you have a home display tank, Dan. No, I don't. I have cats. They would chew through every single cord on that tank.
You will have a home display, even though it's out here in a greenhouse.
In the new building, yeah.
In a new building.
Yeah, there will be displays in the future, but not in my home. No, that's crazy. Who does that? Like literally like everyone in chat. Like,
oh my!
Why would you have a tank in your house?
Right,
barbarians. I need to find someone with a par meter to test my par. Here's the thing. Yeah, definitely find somebody else. Well, I shouldn't say don't buy one.
I would say buy one.
I never test par. I don't care. You can kind of like look and tell. Is it bright? Is it not bright?
That's not fair, because there's a lot of new people that's in this channel that has no clue what.
So here's the thing. Okay.
They don't even know what they like yet.
You will use that thing like for a week, and you'll put that thing away forever. So find somebody else that has one and borrow it. Join a club that has one.
I still use mine because I know my water parameters are good, and then there's a coral that's really acting up. So I will use it to see if I'm going to go hotter or lower light with it. Just depends. And then I slowly, bring it up. But I still use it. But it's really like he said, it's very seldom do I use it. It's like $500 just laying around.
Yeah.
And a piece of equipment that you use once in a great blue moon.
Yeah.
And most of these guys won't even do that. They'll probably use it one time, see what their levels are at, and then
move on with their lives.
Move on with their life. Yeah. I did hear that.
By the way, hello from Denmark.
Oh, hello.
Gustav on Facebook.
Hello. I think they're talking about, some places are actually talking about renting out par meters.
Renting out par meters.
Yeah,
that's a great way to get that stolen.
Yeah, well, I think they have to put a deposit for the full amount of it, which
really?
I really feel that defeats the purpose because most people ain't gonna.
So they're saying the same thing I was thinking. Like, you can rent a par meter now, $4.99 deposit, and they're like just laughing at that.
That's what I'm like. It's almost better to join a reef club or something.
Well, it depends on which kind it is too. There's like the apogee ones, which are
apogees.
Fairly inexpensive, and then there's like the $3,000 like spectrometer
Nobody
ones.
in this hobby is doing that. Only person I know that would ever do that would be you. This guy sitting here next to me.
But that's like that's where I have like I have so much money that I'm just starting to burn it occasionally. It's like, man, it's too cold in this room. I need to burn a whole bunch of hundreds. You know what? I'm gonna buy one of those spectrometers. That was what it would, the extent that it would take.
I'll bring mine over when you get everything set up, and then you can play with it and test out your par.
2 please again with the $199. Doubling down. Spill the sauce, Rico, from last night. What happened last night?
I don't know.
Friday night?
Yeah, it was Friday night. It was a packed house, about 144 people in it.
On your live stream?
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Oh, there were some things that I'm thinking about doing that I, told them I would, if they hit 100 and whatever thumbs up, they hit like 130 something.
Oh, okay.
135 maybe.
Interesting. So there's no drama?
Oh no, we're nowadays we're just drama free. We're over the drama. We're moving on to bigger and better things.
There's drama on the freshwater side.
Big drama.
Yeah, there's
big drama, dude.
Yeah, people have gone full on head first into freshwater drama.
I think it was always there. I just don't think that they really brought it to light, but it's definitely always kind of been there. I feel a little bit.
It's so weird that like, when it comes to like the freshwater YouTuber side of things, I don't know anybody. Like, I just don't know anybody. There's so many people like that hang out in chat that I know that are YouTubers on the saltwater side that are way smaller than their equivalent on the freshwater side. But I know that if I went to like a freshwater / saltwater convention, I would just offend like a whole bunch of YouTubers, like, because I have no clue who they are at all. Like, never heard of you. I've never seen your thumbnail. Like, YouTube isn't even recommending them to me.
Yeah, you will. The good thing about you not going out to like these shows and stuff, you're just staying in your own little bubble, is really positive thing in a lot of ways. Because as soon as you go out there, you're gonna be like, I used to like that. I don't like him no more. He was a total. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, at least they can say that after they've seen me, though. There's
True.
plenty of people that don't like me anyway.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good reasons to not like me, but there's a lot of dumb reasons to not like me too, and I'm guessing that's the prevailing trend. Real Housewives of Freshwater YouTube channel, yeah, basically.
It really is.
Speaking, sorry, I should just save that to like another live show entirely. But if I were to ever have a freshwater tank, I really like that axolotl tank that Inappropriate Reefer has. I think those things are like ridiculously cute.
Yeah, that's right up your alley, though.
Yeah,
that's right up.
Let's have some useless little salamander thing.
Yeah,
Those are so cute.
I'm good on it. And just give me the plants and the little fish. It's so much easier. I don't want to have to use big
Yes.
twongs and feed worms down there and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know all that. But for you,
That might be a lot more work than I expected to.
you couldn't have it. You would have to have it out here. Your cats would have.
They would
They
pluck
would
them
eat
out.
them.
Yeah, they would.
They would eat them.
Well, I can't have tanks in the house. There's,
Yeah.
you know, there's. I'm actually glad that I've moved all my stuff, all the technological stuff out of there and into this new building, because they chew so many cables. They destroy so many chairs. This is like my office chair, and it's like the perfect material for a catch scratch post. So my like super fancy Herman Miller office chair was just like a glorified catch scratch post for like the last couple years. I don't like Dan because he's way too smart. Yeah, that would not be a good reason.
There you go.
Joseph is asking, are Pachyceras normally slow growing? No, I would say that they're like medium to fast growing. Not as fast as like a plating Monte, not as slow as, what's a slow?
Slow growing?
Slow SPS.
That's really a tricky question because ones that ain't supposed to be slow.
Parietes are slow.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good one.
Axolotls are so easy. Yeah, they might be. I'm really spread thin though. Like a lot of stuff that is. So
He doesn't need to add anything else to his list of anything at any time soon.
yeah, and the thing is, like, I consider myself fairly lazy when it comes to doing work. I just do a lot of it, and that's the weird part. It's like when you own your own business, you can kind of like set your own hours. So during the day, you can totally just take a nap, but you'll be still up working at midnight. You know, that's how that goes. So yeah, I'm spread pretty thin. Yeah, it's like I have one cat. He eats all the iPad cables and chews sticky tape. Yeah, that sounds about right.
That'd be one less cat in my house.
Well, especially
Or
because
dog.
they gravitate towards the Apple cables too, the ones that are like really expensive.
Maybe Apple has something that's scented in there that makes it smell so good, like catnip. I don't know.
Who
Maybe
knows?
that's their secret sauce to their cables, catnip.
Who knows? Let's see.
I like watching just to learn coral names. Yeah, I'm bad with it because they always changing coral names, and I'm
Okay.
not keeping up with the Joneses.
Tattooed dancer. Do you view Leptoceras and Cephastria as LPS or SPS? Does it even matter?
Leptoceras is, I'm going to say, is more of an LPS.
Interesting. I would
You would go SPS?
probably go SPS on both, but does it matter? Not to me.
It really doesn't matter to me, but
So you can one little trick I like to do, and this is only marginally helpful because again I don't think it matters, is if you look at the genus is Leptoceras, the genus is Cephastria. So if you go up one step to family, what other corals would be in that family? If all of those kind of are not sounding that particularly familiar, go up one more to the class. And that's where you can really start to get some insight. Because if it's sharing the same class as like Favia or something, now like Favia is, I think it's pretty well established that that's an LPS, right? Again, not that it's terribly meaningful, but if a Leptoceras shares the same class as a Favia, I'm more likely to consider a Leptoceras an LPS. Does that make sense? So it's basically, if we are, so what do we share a class with? Primates?
primates.
So like lemurs and stuff like that. So if something else were to pop up that we've never seen before, that also shares a class with humans and lemurs.
We're going to be Lord humans. Or Lord. I don't know. But it does make sense. But I've never heard it explained in that way. Kind of tried to.
Yeah. See what else is around its zone, I guess, taxonomically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, having said that, taxonomy changes a lot. So I think specifically Astriopora, Leptastria, Leptoceras, they've bounced around a lot. Acanthastria has bounced around a little bit. Now, not maybe to the class level, but they've bounced around at the genus level. So Acanthastria Lord Hauensis is now Micromusa Lord
Right.
Hauensis.
There you go.
So yeah, and to stay up on that, like on one hand, I would say, yeah, we should care. And on another hand, I would say, why? Just because like 0.01% of the nerds out there that actually study coral biology that are in the science community cares? No, I don't think so. So
Yeah.
so if I call something incorrectly, like somebody had pointed out in my Scully video that everything that I was talking about is incorrect because none of those are Scullies. Google disagrees with you, and Google is the ultimate arbiter when I'm trying to sell
What do you
those
mean?
corals.
What was, so what were they? So if they're not Scullies, what are they?
Something else.
What's the something else? Is it a term that we use in the hobby? Something else?
Homophilia? Australis? Whatever.
Okay.
But I think we missed a super chat. World War III Reef?
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't assume WW stands for World War. But maybe it's Walter White, the third. Reef. 12-inch or 16-inch height for Acropora frag tank? 16. I have 12. I don't like it as much.
Yeah.
Go 16.
Yeah, 16.
Are all the coral names based on Latin? Kinda, except that it's like Latin. It's like it's like pig Latin-y in a way because it'll be named after a dude, but they'll make it like the dude's name Latin. So like Lord Hauensis is based on Lord Howe Island, I think. Like why don't they just call it like, you know, Acanthastria Lord Howe? No, we have to throw that ensis on there.
Just call it an acan.
Yeah, most are. Let me get my glasses with white tape in the middle. Crazy girls like kids. Like, I care. Dragos, greetings from Romania. Hey, what's up? What is up?
Romania. I think that's the first.
We get a very diverse international crowd out here. It's very cool because I mean I think that shows that even though the international crowd can't participate in the buying and selling aspect of corals, that like the content is good enough to hang around for, and I definitely appreciate that. So for all the folks that are international, and heck, like Reef Dudes, he's like these guys are Canadian. You're a Mare Agricola.
Oh, I didn't see that. What is that?
I think that might be Latin for a sea farmer.
Okay.
Joseph Holman, somebody nabbed the coral I wanted. Got to buy more to hit that 250 now. Oh, thank you, dude. Yeah, some of these corals go quick. You kind of have to jump all over that. Stephen Smith, Ireland. There you go. It's interesting to see like all the different geographies that do show up, and in the somewhat rare these days instance that I like leave the house and get on a plane. It's interesting that like pretty much whichever country I go to now, somebody would reach out and say, hey, I'd like to take you out to lunch or something. So the last time that I was in Japan, a guy named Vlad, who's originally Uzbekistani, I think. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I got that right. But yeah, he took us out the entire day. He was like so cool. And he took us to like all these different aquariums and aquarium shops and stuff.
Make it reefer says Canadians doesn't count.
Canadians don't count.
All right, Reef Dudes get them.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Netherlands. So Fabian, what's up? You know what? Canada definitely counts as another country when you're trying to send coral across the border. It counts then.
Yeah.
It's like suddenly there's definitely a border. Going back a little bit, William Henry on Facebook says Senai is pretty cheap, and I'm guessing that means for like light meter. That could be.
Yeah, that's a par meter. Yeah.
Blue Basin's like hello from Dayton, Ohio. Yeah, that may as well be another country. I'm kidding. Lynn Nguyen, can you make it easier to check out? Can't seem to save my card information. I have to enter it every time. So we use an like a turnkey solution called Magento 2. I think our efforts at like a one-page checkout have caused like coding errors and stuff like that. So we don't do that, and we don't store credit card information on our servers, just for like security reasons. So in that sense, it can be a little bit trickier to check out. I don't know what system you're using, but sometimes there's like something you can actually have in your browser that records your payment info. So when I check out online for like Amazon or something like that, I can just like do like a quick pre-fill based on like past payment. So it's not actually like on the merchant's end, but it's just like kind of in your browser.
It's in your browser.
So that might be something that might help.
It would actually ask you, do you want us to keep your information or something like that for future or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah. I sent a light to Lisa for free and it cost $60 from here to Canada. I could see that. Yeah, Samsung and Chrome can save your info and just verify with CVV. Yeah, I think that's probably your best route. I mean, so whenever you're talking about like a free website solution, there could be some weirdness. So for example, one huge obstacle, I guess, with like our website is there's a difference between a discount code that we give out with every order and a gift card. So sometimes people get the gift card and want to use it, and they're like trying to punch it into the discount code field. So that's like annoying. Those are two different things. Google Pay, Samsung Pay, Apple Pay all store your info. Okay. Yeah, it's so hopefully that'll help accelerate things. And of course, just because you're participating live, that's a huge benefit, because there are folks that start to shop for corals either Sunday or on Monday, and they kind of get to choose from what's left. So anyway, we're like almost halfway through. We're a little bit past the halfway point. You know, I was actually thinking about editing in like some halftime stuff, like some intermission type things, but
we'll be doing that in the future.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Okay, before, when we needed to take a bathroom break or something like that, it basically either meant walking all the way back inside the house or going outside like on a fence or something. Okay, so but now about well, actually it's not even that close. It's about 80 feet away.
Yeah, but it's still
and it's an opulent bathroom. It's much nicer than the fence. Than waiting on comments. Yeah, you know, it's weird how like sometimes like the comments get like real quiet after a while. So it's funny how that goes. So I don't know if you guys are following Rico's tank development, but it looks like there's water now. And seeing that you're here and not still at home, I'm going to assume that the glass tank held together.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's a pretty good assumption. That no, it's good. Yeah, it held together. It's you know what? It's so different to go from no water in it into seeing your aquascape with water in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, whoa.
Is it clearing up?
Oh, it's crystal clear.
Okay, because like it takes a while for the sand to clear up sometimes.
Yeah, this thing depends on the volume of water though, diluting it.
Okay.
Plus, I got filter socks in there that were looking pretty nasty right now though.
Oh, filter socks.
To filter the water.
Do it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so Steven is asking, I missed the start. Are you in the new studio? Yes. So if you wanted to see like what it kind of like looks like behind the scenes, check out any of the other social media things like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I posted like a picture.
Oh, by the way, when I was coming here, I couldn't really pick up an echo, and I was running it through my car. not just my phone.
Okay.
So I was like, and even talking here, it's like, it's really not an echo. You know that it's not full with furniture.
Right.
Like you can get that sound, but I think it's not really a big echo.
And it's certainly not distracting.
No, it's not.
And so for the folks that are new and that haven't heard me mention this before, but my plumber is downstairs working.
Yeah.
Like there are actually contractors here working, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It is okay.
Oh, thank you, Reef Dudes. Yeah, so.
So what's the temp in there, like 50?
Yeah.
It's chilly. It's probably 60.
Yeah, I wouldn't say 50.
But here's the thing: if you hang out long enough at 60 degrees, it's chilly. It's like you start getting like hypothermia. Rico is going to have to hurry up on that massive peninsula. I need to see the coral choices. Coral might be a little while.
Coral. Okay, he said coral choices. Like, do you know how much coral it's going to take to even fill that up?
Don't you have coral?
Yeah, but do you understand how many? I mean, we're talking about frags growing back out to colonies.
Make sure that your alkalinity is above 3. Just pro tip.
That might be a good. Yeah, that's a nice
pro tip.
Yeah,
not that it stopped me any, but
no, it's.
Joshy Josh, been watching your stuff to get into the marine hobby. Only tropical at the moment. How should I start out? Well, I made a video. My most disliked video is the top 5 recommendations, or like things that I've learned that I kind of wish I knew when I first started. So check that video out first. And if you disagree, well, join the crowd. It probably has like 200 dislikes. 2, please give that plumber some props from us. Yes, thank you again for the $1.99. Jeremy is a straight up boss when it comes to plumbing. I mean, he is so good. And right now he is installing the lines that are going to be for the RO system and for the saltwater makeup. So we were just talking earlier today about how we were going to do that, because I basically want more or less a faucet by each of my sumps. So if I needed to top off with fresh water just to like a certain level, I could just open up the fresh water. But if I needed to bring up the salinity as well, I want my salt water available in just like a different hose essentially. So we were talking about what kind of pump we could use for that. And it turns out that there are titanium variable speed drive pressure pumps. So what's up?
For freshwater?
No, for saltwater.
For saltwater, okay. That's because I remember our conversation. I'm like, okay, so what are you going to use that's going to be able to handle salt water?
Yeah, because they make those pumps specifically for pools, anticipating saltwater pools.
Gotcha.
So,
that makes sense.
And not only that, but you also need this sort of pump because just pumping RO would really mess with pumps. Like RO is highly corrosive. So it's a combination of needing it for both. But also, since these are variable drive pumps, and you do want to, at least we for this application,
keep a steady pressure.
Yeah, want to keep a steady pressure, right? You need also pressure tanks. And they make fiberglass pressure tanks that are specific for corrosive material too. So that's why having like a really good plumber around to have these conversations with. And people on my last video were kind of asking, was this, how much did he plan for you versus, how much did you plan? And I always kind of say that it's a collaborative process, because I have to give him some direction. I didn't just say, hey, here's a 6-figure check, you just do you.
Yeah, just do whatever you want.
Just do whatever
Here's
you
my
want.
Money.
Yeah,
Even
that
if
didn't
it's not
happen.
Like I don't want it. You got my plumbing outside somewhere, and I need it in here. Here's 6 figures. Do what you. No.
Yeah, no. So I have to give at least some high level things about what I want. After that, I start asking questions like crazy, and then describing what I need some of these things for. And that's when we start to refine and refine and refine and refine. And then sometimes I just like come up with like a harebrained scheme, like, oh, I want faucets by all the sumps. I realize that, you know, we're 10 months into this process and I haven't brought this up before, and they're already putting up ceiling paneling. Hopefully that's not in your way, bro. And let's see what we can do. And so we work around it.
Yep, that's exactly how it's done.
So it's a constant, iterative, collaborative process. And then I pay for it all.
Yep.
Rico's got a new sub. K-Town Reefer with a Canadian 279. Thank you. Check out Reef Dude's new 160-gallon build. Yeah. I was actually on his last live show, checking that out. Yeah, he's definitely using some pretty cool stuff. And you know what? One thing I didn't mention on that live stream is that his glass tank, I don't know who built it. I don't know if you know who built it. Has like the 45-degree bevel. That's like so interesting. And I was like, I just saw that on the stream. Go back to that. Go back, rewind that. Talk to me about that 45-degree bezel, because I think that like a combination of the 45-degree bezel plus like an armored corner would be so cool.
He didn't do the armor corner.
Yeah, I know.
And when I seen it, because I did see his video, when I seen it, I thought it was really neat, but I felt like it's could be a potential problem.
At the 45?
At the 45.
Supposedly, he was saying that it makes it more durable because it is a bigger surface area than the flat 90.
I'm more, it has to go this way. This way, it's just pop open. And when you're this way, I'm thinking because of the silicone's going to be whatever, but you got the silicone in the touching the two panels this way versus this way. That panel, when he showed a video, there was no, like, it was just a thin, I mean, really thin.
Okay, but the surface contact area is larger.
It is larger, but I'm more thinking of the thickness here plus the corner.
Because they didn't glop it on the side like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I think it would be very cool if, like you said, that armor.
Because now you're talking two different angles.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to Reef Savvy about that, see if they can bump my bill up another 10 grand to do that. I'm kidding. So Felix, I know Felix doesn't watch YouTube. I'm kidding.
That was a special request.
Very nice.
Yeah, see, next to no seam inside the tank. That's what I was looking
for
at.
silicon to touch.
Yeah. That's the only part that made me a little nervous. I mean, hopefully, God forbid, anything happens, to it. But
it depends on who. So we there's a local pet store here called Aquatica, and the owner there, Steve, which you probably have seen on his stream, loves to like criticize not necessarily my decision to go with glass, but he criticizes anybody's decision to go with glass,
including me.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, acrylic was never happening. It was never happen
with me. I don't care if
it's like that scene in The Notebook.
Thing in the world.
Like, stop trying to make acrylic happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. Not doing it.
Oh boy. All right, I need to take a break.
Yeah.
So I'll be right back.
All right.
Rico can run the ones and twos for a moment.
All righty.
And there's more room to get up and go around.
Miter corners and black lines. Yeah. No, it was pretty. It was like I said, I thought it was neat on how that corner was. It was just a little scary, and considering that we always see tanks with a nice bead of silicone, that you're not going to have to worry about damaging the silicone, which I did like about that. Like I said, I think I would still want to put that armor seam piece of glass or whatever they use there, but then again, that would defeat. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll soon find out. But it does look good, by the way. The glopping of silicone on the inside of a corner doesn't add any strength in the traditional tank, as far as I know. I don't know because you still have, depending on it and whatever, you're still getting a little bit of an overlap of silicone. I think it still would provide some strength, but how much? There's no way of knowing. Maybe it doesn't though. Do you think that the glopping of silicone, in the corners provides some strength or probably no strength?
I mean, I'm not exactly a custom
Me
tank
neither.
builder, so like I've
I
never
would
done
think
it.
something touching, you probably get some more reinforcement, but to how much level? I don't know.
Yeah, I think
maybe
it,
not.
I think
don't
it
know.
could. Yeah, I mean, it might.
Yeah.
So it says Greg Jones asking.
No. He was just saying, saying it doesn't add any strength in traditional tanks. In a traditional.
It's just a silicon between the glass.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he could be right. I don't know, but at the same time, I would think it would still provide something.
Yeah.
Why is it there then? Yeah, it's almost like that would be me just thinking to myself.
Well, here's
why
the
wouldn't
thing.
you just shave it off and keep it nice and clean then, and do instead of being like this with like Devin's at a 45, just be this and clean, real thin set.
I'm sure that a lot of this has to do with just straight up business decision making to make the cheapest aquarium possible that will fail at the most reasonable length of time. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
it's like your tank lasted 6 years. You should be happy. Like, what?
Yeah.
So after X number of years, it's like, oh, you're just on your own, son. You should be happy your tank lasted that long.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we need to do better than that.
Yeah, it's less work for them to gob it in
and then clean it up. Yeah. Yeah, fancy tanks clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
Could you hand me the thing over there?
I was wondering if you want me to pass.
It's too far away.
Parched.
And it's like freezing cold now too.
I was gonna call and say, do you got some tea or something on?
We should.
We should have some tea sitting here, nice teapot.
That would be really good. Next time.
Oh yeah.
We'll have like the entire like juice fountain.
Yeah.
Silicone is kind of like pond liner. It does provide some strength. Yeah, I mean, I think it's structural to some degree, and I think that that's really the whole gist of it. And part of why Steve is like so anti glass tanks. It's like, this is the dumbest way to build a container of water. Is just you're basing it all on this little sliver of silicone to hold hundreds of pounds back. It's like, there's that. Tattoo Dancer 91. Do you still cut discosomas to propagate them or just provoke normal spreading? I would definitely the second. We haven't cut them in a while. So here's the thing about discosoma that I've noticed. Pretty much all of them right now are coming out of Australia. The discosoma coming out of Australia, for some reason, are really difficult to propagate.
Really?
Yeah, I've noticed that. So, like interstellar mushrooms, that's like a very kind of attractive.
What is that?
I think that was a ladybug out of nowhere.
Just comes zooming and lands right on my nose.
Oh no.
Jeez. I thought it was a bee.
Just right into your face.
My eyes just like going cross-eyed as this thing coming right at me.
I need to rewatch that on stream. I'm sorry.
Whatever.
It's like, why did that show up? It's like out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
It's like, how long was that guy here? Anyway.
It's still living? How is it still living? It's snowing. It should be hibernating or dead, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't even know how it got in here. Okay. Did you go with Instant Ocean? Somebody was asking about what salt you used. Reef crystals?
Yeah. Went starting it up with Instant Ocean. That's what I normally start all my systems up with.
Greg Jones is asking, when's the next Hot Ones Wing Challenge?
Probably the barbecue. Have we? We still haven't. Well, we kind of put it out there.
No, there's we haven't like really
We never
blasted it out there.
We need to blast it. So
yeah,
know.
there's a fee, but it's just to cover food for us. But we're gonna be doing gift bags, so you will recoup quite a sum of that. It's good luck if a ladybug lands on you.
Okay, well, she got tossed, but hopefully I still get to good luck.
Everybody's like lols. Just placed my order thing. Gotta go. Have a good day. You too, man. Thanks. Appreciate it. We will, and I didn't forget the extra charge for Alaska this time. We will have to work on when we can do this weather-wise. But thank you again. Building is looking awesome, Than. When do the tanks arrive? So Reef Eco, we're looking at August. No,
August.
April.
Well, there goes the barbecue.
I've been tired. I've been tired as of late. It's April. It could potentially be a little bit sooner. So Rico and I have to go down to Florida and pick them up. And I'm kind of partially concerned as to whether or not they're going to fit in the trucks, because the tanks are 10.5 feet long, and that's kind of a logistic challenge when you're talking about how to fit that many into a truck that can also make it up my driveway. So my ultimate hope is that we can get 5 aquariums into a 26-foot truck. Doesn't seem like it should be that difficult, but it could be. So if we got a 26-foot truck, we could put, as long as we're able to stack one set of tanks on another set, everything will work. And also assuming that the entire thing is flat, because the last 26-footer that we had rented had like a wheel well that came into the storage space. Mm-hmm. So we would have to find a truck that was completely flat on the inside, does not need lift gates or anything like that, and have one tank survive being stacked on another tank.
Yep.
That's it. And strap everything down nicely, and then we drive all the way from Florida back to Ohio with it. Mm-hmm. And then we do it again later, because that's only for 5 tanks.
Greg said just
hire a freight truck. The problem is we can't get like a big semi. See, I would love to also just like get a semi, and
because I can drive semis.
Yeah, and just pull in and unload it at our leisure, but we can't even get a semi onto this property. The thing is,
it boils down to being able to, if we get back here, we don't have to really scramble around to get, whatever. We can get a truck up in here. Semi is not coming up in here. The main street's not wide enough to make that angle without potentially being in a ditch. And then the bill just went through the roof to have a big rig come out and pull you out of the ditch.
Right.
And not to be funny, the city's probably not going to appreciate you shut down one of the.
It's state route.
State route.
Yeah. So the tattoo dancer's like, so how do you promote discosoma spreading then? That bug interrupted you.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I don't really do much of anything. I just let them do their thing. Then they do the whole pedal, P-E-D-A-L laceration thing. And they just like drop off little buds, and you just have to be patient. So right now, I would say that discosoma is not a great candidate for aquaculture because of that, unless you can start cutting them. You guys are superheroes like Batman and Robin. Oh, that's funny. I'm like the Joker, though.
Yeah, he is. Like
so if he's Batman, then I'm the Joker.
For real.
And that's actually interesting because people probably wonder like, how do these two even get along? They're like so different. This one dude's always in a suit. The other guy's always in like in a tank top. Sure. One guy goes to all the shows. The other guy goes to none of the shows. Like, how does that even work? They're so completely different people.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, so it's funny. Okay, so this I'm not going to like delve into like too much of like your personal backstory or something. Okay, but you said this and then I echoed it. So you said that like you grew up a certain way and you promised that your kids would never grow up the way you grew up.
Correct.
I had a completely opposite childhood, and I said my children will never grow up the way I grew up because they're not going to exist.
He's not gonna happen.
So that's how different we are, even when we're saying the same thing.
Yes, that is true.
Oh man, the vest is kind of like a tank top. No, it's really not.
That's 50 cents tank top right there.
Yeah,
That's 50 cents tank top.
It was a bulletproof vest.
Right.
Oh man. Yeah, so somebody was asking, so clearly since we are in the new studio space, that we were able to get the internet working in here. That was a big project. First was running the line out here. We got lucky, got that in here. And
I wouldn't call it luck. I would call it that we
maybe,
went to a nice dinner and I said it could be done. It might not take a minute, but it can be done.
And so maybe I was unlucky the first 4 times. But on the 5th time,
and he was going to call and actually pay.
Yeah, I already had called.
Yeah, okay, yeah, called to pay for something I knew could be done. So I'm glad it worked out. So
well, actually, a lot of people in the YouTube comments were like, actually, that distance is a challenge. Like, period. Yeah, they're like.
I'm sorry, I have to disagree. You're talking a 2-inch pipe. A 2-inch pipe. Anything could go through that.
Regardless, we got it done.
We got it done.
But then that's just getting the line into here. Then the rest of it is actually
I would agree,
networking this
depending
place.
on how many like 90s. Like if it was 90 crazy and all these loop-to-loop stuff out there.
Yeah. Or it had collapsed.
or yeah, that could have been very possible because you've had them crush pipe, run over pipes, all kinds of stuff since this build's been going on.
There is a parking lot going straight over it.
There's a parking lot.
Yeah, there's
so it's very possible.
James Dell on Facebook says hello, hi.
Hello, James.
So I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your name. Kaustov. It works so well between you because you're both genuine guys and respect each other's work a lot. That's true.
That is very true. And we can disagree, and we're completely fine with it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Disagree with each other and be just fine, as if it didn't happen. I mean.
So Ashwin Ravi is asking, any suggestions on bird's nest placement? Frag hasn't grown in 4 months, hasn't reduced in size either.
I've had corals that took a whole year, didn't do nothing, and didn't go.
It's weird for a bird's nest to not do that.
Yeah, that is true. It could be irritated by something.
Yeah, it could be. Definitely check for like irritation and stuff like that, because like if something is irritated, it's almost like trying to like lose weight when you are have like inflammation going on in your body. Right. So like if you guys don't get that reference, if you are suffering from some type of inflammatory condition, every single thing you eat or drink will turn into pounds. Like that's just kind of how it is. So similarly with like that with the bird's nest, if something is bothering it, it simply can't grow. Like growing is a luxury that is beyond that coral's ability right now. Acidic burrito. How long can coral survive in a bag or container? I don't like it to go more than 24 hours. Yeah,
48. I've done it 48, but
I've had 4 days. That's very uncommon.
But it's really how consistent that temperature can stay. Consistent, like because we do blackouts. You're talking about one single acropora coral.
It's really, temperature related though. Like in the winter, it's probably not going to go well.
It's not going to go well at all. It's really. I mean, especially if you ship it really cold, even with heat packs.
Because a heat pack is only 24 hours.
Yeah.
And it's actually a lot less because the way that a heat pack works is that it oxidizes the available oxygen in the box, which is not very much. So it'll get toasty warm initially and then kind of taper off. So by the time that you get it, it might not be that warm unless you were given a big shipping box. And a lot of companies can't do big shipping boxes because they get blowed up by FedEx or UPS.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of like delays, we just recently had a customer down in Florida that didn't get her box on time because, we sent it, priority overnight, and the next day it's not there. They had sent it to New Jersey for no reason, and they just updated the delivery time. They're like, oh, it's going to come later.
That ain't what I pay for.
And then it gets like routed back. So it went to like Memphis to New Jersey, back to Memphis the next day, and then down to Florida. And so not everything survived, but I guess technically most of it did. And the one that didn't survive showed up there alive, but then just couldn't recover from all that shipping stress. And like FedEx like power bombed that box from like the top of the cage or something, because it was like destroyed once it arrived. So yeah, it's clearly you want to avoid stuff like that happening in cold weather, but things do happen occasionally, and the corals can survive even like rough handling like that. Solaris says, I just got a 200-gallon reef tank. I have a lot of questions. So for my elk, I want within 8 to 11, right? And for calcium above 400? Yeah, I would say that's safe. Yeah. More important than hitting numbers is to maintain consistency. Mm-hmm. So even if your calcium is like, say, 325 and you want it to be 400, I would make that transition from 325 to 400 really slowly, because there's actually no big benefit to hitting a specific number. Mm-hmm. Earlier in the stream, I did mention that one of our big SPS systems is rocking alkalinity at about 3 DKH. So
I don't advise you to try that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't.
That's clearly a mistake. But what's also a mistake is for me to like spike that sucker right up to 12 overnight.
There won't be no live stream of acros.
Yeah, because that's actually this tank, the one that you're seeing in the video. That's the tank. That right now, all those corals that you're seeing on this live show are all in alkalinity of 3. So clearly, don't chase numbers. Don't go chasing waterfalls.
That's a good question. It's because you kind of gotta.
Which question?
How do you value the price of the frags that you sell?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. A lot of it has to do with
my electric bill, my water, my maintenance.
A lot of it is just market value. Some of it is
my glue,
our availability of it. So, for instance, we have a lot of pink Pocillopora, and I think we put it on sale for like $15, mm-hmm. and we'll sell as many as people can handle at that price. And if you're willing to take 100 units of it, we'll go way cheaper than that. It's because there's certain things that like grow faster than we can sell it. Mm-hmm. Other things we might be super expensive on compared to everybody else, and that's because we have like 3 of them, and we have no inclination to sell them, but we want to make it available. It's not a good value, but it's available. This is a little bit of behind the scenes as to like how kind of the industry works. People charge what they can charge. Mm-hmm. So there are some other stores that charge way more than us, and it's like the same stuff. It's just way more expensive, and they're very successful. And there's other stores that look at me the same sort of way. Like I can sell that for half the price. And they don't buy it from me, they buy it from Tidal Gardens. And they get like thrown into like a loop over that. It's like, a lot of it is perception. I mean,
and it's also people want to spend their money who they want to spend it with.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, they might just want to help you out and spend the money with you, and they like what you do. They might just like the fact that they're able to sit here and watch and look at their corals that they're going to potentially buy live. Versus a picture that ain't kind of, when they get it, ain't quite.
Not that close. But there's also another aspect, and this isn't like specific to Tidal Gardens by any stretch, okay? But let's see, so item number 110 is a neon green Pachyceras. You might be able to find somebody else, well, actually 25 is actually fairly cheap. But let's say that there's somebody out there selling for $10 because they were able to get it from overseas and they've cut it up like 5 times and they're able to sell it now for $10 to you. That is a different coral than what I'm selling, because having it be in a system for an extended period of time makes that thing way tougher. So once you go to buy that, even if you're buying it locally, a freshly harvested coral, freshly imported, transshipped or whatever, for dirt cheap, fragged up, further stressed, and then is now in your possession, you might have gotten a great deal. You might also have just lost $10. And there's a completely different level of risk. Those two products, even though they're the same animal, are different products. So, and not to say that like all of my stuff is like been, you know, then aged in a fine vineyard for like, you know, 1,000 years or something. But the places that are known to do extended long-term aquaculture, the stuff should be way, way more hardy. And that is worth also an upcharge for that. But like I said, that's a poor example because it was like 25 bucks. That's probably one of the cheaper things on here. However, this item, yeah, this Jello shot, that's expensive. That was actually the last coral, technically. So we are now into overtime.
Oh.
We made it to the very end.
And it went so fast. Well, this is a fraction of comparative live streams of other live coral streams. You know,
well, we're the only
100.
Yeah, this is like the only live stream that I know of, but like a live show.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Live show.
I did miss some other things.
I think a good SPS card to start with is anyone that's willing to live with you inside your system. At this point, I don't know. What do you say?
Well, I mean, there are some that are easier than others, but here's another thing that you might want to consider. It's go with stuff that you like, because sometimes like people get into corals that they probably would not have selected, but they did so because they thought that it was something that's within their sweet spot, you know, so to speak. It's like, I'm a beginner, I only have a certain size tank, I don't have the most expensive equipment or anything. I would actually go more with something that like you're gonna actually kind of treasure. And if that thing happened to grow like crazy and do really well for you, that you wouldn't regret having. So there's certain corals that people kind of end up with as beginner corals that weren't their first choice. It wasn't their second choice. It wasn't their third choice. It wasn't their fourth choice. It was just like the safest thing that they could find. And once it's doing well, it's like, well, now it takes up 30% of my tank and I'm not actually happy with this hobby anymore. So yeah, I would do as much research as possible on the stuff that you like. So if you happen to get your eye caught with some sort of rare non-photosynthetic tunicate, go ahead and do a ton of research on it and then probably decide to go in a different direction.
No,
but
you will decide to go in a different direction.
But repeat that process. So if you happen to like item number 4 here, the Superman Monty, you like the coloration and everything like that, well, look up everything you can about, you know, caring for Montipora. This is not the easiest coral in the world. It's not the most difficult. You could probably swing it without too much, really too much challenge, as long as you just have your basics in line. If you're a true beginner, that might be not a sure thing. It's not like, you know, you might be missing that extra point, but it's not the end of the world. You can do research on these things, right? So that's probably like the advice that I would give, because there are species that are easier than others, but is that what you want for your tank? You kind of have to make that choice there. Going back a little bit, Eddie Ramos was asking, should you drip acclimate corals? I don't.
I don't. Pop and drop.
I don't know if I pop and drop it, but it's like 20 minutes.
Pop and drop. It depends. If I got corals that are coming in and the water's temperature's way off or something, then
Yeah.
I'm not going to pop and drop. So let me clear that up in case there are some newbies. Don't do what I just said. Check the water at least. You acclimate the bag to the temperature of that system, and then definitely then do your dip process and use some water from the new system, the water that it came in, and whatever. After that point.
Nathan Odom, do you keep a tank for yourself at home, or is everything at the grow out at the shop? I do not have a tank at home.
Mm-hmm.
My house is small. My house is smaller than this room, so I don't need to be filling it up with tanks. And I've mentioned that like my cats will chew through all the cables.
Mm-hmm. And there wouldn't be no fish or anything in there. They would take care of those too.
I could totally imagine my cat splashing around and like splashing all the salt water on my hardwood floors.
Oh yeah,
it'd be bad. Nano Junkie, I've lost so much money buying frags from big box stores because I don't have an LFS. Huh, interesting. What's a big box store that sells frags?
That would be a big box store?
When I think of a big box store, I think of like Petco.
That's the only thing. You couldn't never,
okay.
I couldn't picture, eye-catching, unique, worldwide. They're not big box stores.
Yeah.
They're just places to get coral, but yeah, Petco or whatever.
Leptoceras is a good SPS for beginners, in my opinion. Yeah.
So we determine if that's an SPS or LPS.
I think a Leptoceras is an SPS. But I couldn't give you like a really good articulation as to why that is.
Yeah, me neither. But I don't know, man. I just...
Sorry, Gangstalicious for one. Do you ever use calc washer paste to kill stuff like Xenia? No. So the reason is because Xenia right now is like gold for me. Like I'm low on Xenia. You do, check this out. You do realize that Xenia is not getting imported right now. Okay.
I have some.
I'll take it.
No.
I will take it. Because guess what, guys? The demise of this import ban from Indo, greatly overstated. There's no Indo coral. So I guess what had happened, and this is like some industry chatter here, was when they announced that they would be exporting again from Indo, and everybody's like, "Phew, we're back to normal, boys." Well, that wasn't like their big boss person. Their big boss person was out. When big boss person came back, it's like no coral for anyone. And not only did this person say no coral for anyone, this person also said, and wild will never happen again. So yeah, that's a lot different than Indo's opening back up. So stuff like Xenia, and I know that the question generally is calc water paste to kill something you don't want. I'm just saying that
you might want to hold on to that for dear life.
You might want to pump the brakes on killing anything that like you might never see imported again.
Actually, I think it's a great thing. It will make you learn how to respect and love pulsing Xenias, because I've had it in my 300, and guess what? I control it by nutrients in my system. If you don't want to do water changes, you don't want to do anything, you want to have high levels of stuff, it will take over the system. But if you keep your system, really well, it will just sit there and, look good. It ain't going to die. It's going to sit there and look really good and pulse and whatever. And it becomes a very, very slow grower at that point.
Somebody's asking if my parents were from the Philippines. No. We are from Burma, now called Myanmar.
Actually, his parents are my parents, and he was adopted.
So I was actually born over there. I wasn't born here in the States. So Lisa just dropped in. Everybody loves Lisa.
Hello, Lisa.
Yeah, so I do see this regularly. Okay, so follow up. How do you get rid of corals you don't want to keep creeping? The best way is to, unfortunately, it's to remove the whole rock, but you could also like chip pieces off of that rock. If you get like a little what is a little? It's like a masonry chisel. It's kind of more specific than that though. It looks like a little chisel, a little hammer and chisel set. I don't know.
I don't know the name of it.
Chat. Do you guys know what I'm? So somebody out there's like a masonry person, I'm sure, that knows what I'm talking about. But it is possible to do some like fine tune hacking off of soft rock, like what we usually do in the hobby.
Even if you don't want it, use it. Put it in your sump. Put it in your sump.
Yeah, but they don't want to remove the rock.
Oh, they don't want to. Yeah, then you're gonna have to chisel.
You have to chisel. But some things like xenia can be physically removed just with like fingernail or like
it can be lifted up like a
clay
an enemy or whatever.
Yeah, you could do that.
Kind of that foot thing, you know.
Just so you know, certain geographies where you are, like the market there, might be really soft for xenia. So they might just like, xenia is a pest, just flush it down the toilet, blah, 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 right? Mm-hmm. Other places, it's worth its weight in gold. And again, like just kind of like think about those market-driven things because one customer of mine would buy 150 units of it if I had it monthly. Mm. And I cannot supply it because my xenia are not growing fast enough. It's crazy.
And that is kind of crazy. But it's good system. But you feed pretty nice. You keep your fish like your cats, man.
My cats are fat. That's where that's going. My cats are overweight.
I'm just saying. So you would think the xenia would do pretty good.
So Kostov is asking, on Facebook is asking, is there a dependable way of knowing if an elegans coral is from Australia or Indo? So yes, but it has nothing to do with looking at the coral. Mm-hmm. Ask for the importation paperwork. That will tell you.
That's not going to happen, but you can try.
No, it probably will happen.
You think?
Yeah. Also, it's very, very likely from Australia because nothing should be coming out of Indonesia, especially not a stony coral, and especially not an elegans. Yeah, like I would say 99.9% chance it's Australian, and you can ask for paperwork because there has to be paperwork. There's no way that it left that country without paperwork. It's no way that it got into your country with paperwork. That's the best way. But I think what you're really asking is, can you tell just by looking at it? Not really. They're pretty darn similar looking. That boy reef and good day from the Netherlands, Than. What is up? I still need to visit the Netherlands. I'm going to work on that. Where's Spooky Than? It was only for it was only for Halloween. And you know what? My costume game, I'm going to step it up next year. This year I was like super busy. Next year it's on. I'm going to do it up. Jeweler's hammer and chisel, maybe. Dental tool, clay working tool, that could also work. Get a Persian. It will not bother your tanks. Too lazy. My cats are my one cat that does a lot of damage. She's very lazy, but she picks her spots and she picks her most expensive cords imaginable. So like at one time, this is so bad, but I, no joke, returned like an Apple, like a laptop power supply, I think 4 times in a week. Because she'd shoot into it, and I just like wrap that bad boy right back up and be like, it's not.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Apple, why you do this to me, Apple? And they're like, no problem, sir. Weird. Weird that keeps happening. I'm like, no. I'm like, let's. I mean, plug it in. They're like, clearly, like it looks like it's in great shape. It's like, yeah, I know. It's like 2 days, man. It's like I don't. That's my cat right there.
He said, well, I took a break. Bad Rivers Reef. Actually, I didn't take a break. I actually was working up to almost the time here, and then we had an unexpected guest show up, and They were just talking and chatting, and lucky my wife came in and saved the day and said, "Don't you have somewhere to be? You're late."
I was wondering if Jamie was going to come by today.
She was going to, and she's like, "I want to come, but whatever." She's like, "Next time." So I was like,
Okay.
whatever. She had trying to get these kids and whatever bunch on the plate.
Sean Hooper, thank you, bro. That's a great
Sean,
question.
What are you saying?
When are you guys going to start selling some merch? You can buy merch right now. Right now. So if you go to the Tidal Gardens channel, right below the basically the title of the video, you can see all of our merch offerings. We're going to be doing some more merch, more designs. And once I figure out how to do it logistically, I want to actually do a design contest to make and to design our next few limited production t-shirts and stuff like that. And the winner of that design prize will win hundreds of dollars in credit at Tidal Gardens.
There you go. Let's go.
So you know what? And we might even do it so that the top 3 designs are all in the money. So once we figure out how to best do that, we want to get that up and running because A, we want more merch, but B, we also want more participation from the community because we know that you guys can design stuff way better than we can.
Right.
Ben's a good designer. He would rather have somebody do it, I'm sure. I'm sure.
And if you're looking for mine, it's on my channel, same thing.
So Acidic is asking, where can you find the standard industry price for coral frags?
There is not one.
There really isn't one.
No.
It's gonna fluctuate wildly.
Yeah, there is no such thing.
Yeah.
None. Unless somebody wants to create one, but it will never happen.
Freddie's saying, when you're in the Netherlands, you're welcome at my house. Oh, thank you. Yeah, dude, I desperately want to come visit the Netherlands. That's one of the places in Europe that I wanted to check out. I've never been. Give yourself the joy of coming to the Netherlands. All the Netherlands people are like, come over. It's like, it's like, because I joke that I'm under house arrest because of this building project that I can't leave. But that is definitely, you know what? I haven't been to the EU in so long that it's long overdue that I've made a visit and just done the whole route.
Which you can do very easily. It ain't like here in the States where it's going to take you days.
I heard it's pretty easy until like the UK Brexit's right out of that. Then that might get more challenging, but should be all right too. The chisel for rocks is called a rock chisel, and they come in all sizes. Thanks, Neil Thomas. Oh boy. Yeah, I think so Jeremy Young and Harkins are talking about the price situation. Yeah, it's totally all over the place. Like there are corals that we sell for 1/3 of other people's stuff. There are stuff that we have that we sell for 3 times more than other people. All of it will sell or not sell depending on the buyer and what they're comfortable with. If you're always looking for the cheapest price, at some point you will find it. And you might also have spent 30 hours doing so, and you might have better spent that time elsewhere. But yeah, there's no standard at all. You can find the entire price range pretty much. So Mad River East, corals are pennies when you go to vendor's license and tax ID stamp to buy from wholesalers. That's an interesting take as far as the price point.
See,
but
that's not true.
It's kind of not true.
No, it's not true.
Okay, so I'll go first and say why that's probably not true. Okay, this is when you're talking about wholesale or import, you are not a hobbyist anymore. You are playing now in the volume game. So you might want the dopest corals, right? It's like, dude, I want that Master Scully. I want that rainbow acanthophilia.
You got to pay.
No.
You got to buy X. Go ahead.
Yeah. You won't ever have the opportunity to buy that coral.
Nope.
So, for instance, you might see, so my last video, well, not my last video, but my last coral video was about scalemia. You might find a rare, bright, yellow, rainbow, like a Croc Island scolie, okay? Wholesale price, almost 4 figures. Guaranteed will almost be 4 figures, okay? So clearly right there, sure you're saving some money because retail, that's $2,000, right? 2 grand, 2,500, who knows how much, right? But that wholesaler ain't gonna sell it to you because they know who you are. They also know who Live Aquaria is. And guess who bought more corals that month? You or Live Aquaria. So somebody like that, or Worldwide Coral, like, or maybe even me, okay? Maybe you're shopping against me. There have been plenty of times where even me, it's like that coral cannot be sold to you. It just can't. It's like that single coral will drive so much in other sales that we can demand from that buyer that it is simply out of your budget. And it could be true. Like even if I spend 5 to 10 grand a month there, there's places that spend 100 times that. A month.
Easily.
Okay? So clearly those guys are gonna get the first crack at it. But they would also have to buy a dozen other scolies in order to get the opportunity to buy that one rare Croc Island scolie. So,
and he's right too.
Yeah, and you can buy all, okay, so Harkins is saying, not true at all. You can't buy awesome stuff without buying 10 grand in junk. Yes, successful wholesalers are successful not because of their ability to sell the top 1% of their quality stuff. That stuff sells itself. It's their bottom 99%. By the way, 90% of which is going to be really darn common. And not only is it going to be common, but it's going to be expensive for what it is. On top of that, like if you saw some wholesale pricing on some basic stuff, you'll be like, that's okay, but it's not great. I mean, it's not a lot different than retail. It's cheaper, but it's not a lot different. But then you have to buy 100 units of that.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So you're buying 100 units of not that spectacular hammer coral, candy cane stuff.
Yeah. Or
Zoas.
Just rocks full of zoas that are you have to buy to even get your boxes of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It's a mandatory. You might have to buy 4 or 5 boxes.
But we're making
the
the judgment that like somebody wants to get the hottest coral. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just want.
No, you made a great point about the scolie thing. You're going to have to buy 20 or 10, 20 of these other random just basic scolies to get one master scolie.
Yeah, but if you just wanted some basic stuff at a cheaper price, you could do that.
But the whole point is you still have to spend tons of money just to. It's not what that whole originally comment there was.
Yeah, the other problem also is that it is a different product. This just showed up at the airport.
Yeah.
The price the price savings might not be worth the additional risk that you're taking on.
That too. Because
$4.20.
Oh.
$10. Thank you, man. Thank you. You're getting like the raw inside intel on like, because here's the thing, a lot of places.
I think it's good because it kind of clears up, because I think there's a lot of people that just assume that we just
that's true. That's true. Or that they think that as soon as they can get that wholesale license, they're going to be off and running because they can get that cheap coral.
You better get your cross out and hold on for dear life that everything makes it. When things die because shipping got delayed, guess what? You're not getting a refund.
Yeah. Some places might,
Well,
but
it
the places that might give you a refund.
Let's just say when it comes
also,
to a lot of these people talking about acros, none. You can cancel that one.
There's like some place that would give you a refund,
or
but
put it on your
But
there you go. But
those places are basically charging retail.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
they're at the higher price point of the wholesale market.
And you pay him a premium.
have to buy from secondary buyers who buy like 100 grand a month to buy fire.
It's
Yeah,
still not
you're
guaranteed.
getting closer to retail.
Yeah.
You're getting closer to retail. Okay, I know you said not to chase numbers, but are there any specs you would keep a close eye on besides salinity, I imagine? Okay. I think you want to go with like the holy trinity, right? Calcium, alkalinity, magnesium. And especially, obviously, if you're talking about stony corals. Those three parameters you should take a look at. You should also consider looking at the pollution end of the spectrum, nitrates and phosphates.
Yep.
And on top of that, I think
Temperature.
temperature fluctuation is a great one.
Yeah.
Take a look at all, like those, but again, it's not an all the time thing. I was just talking to one of my consulting clients, and this person tests every day. And I'm like, every day? I test once a quarter.
Yeah, I'm good on that one.
Like,
but we test
whoa.
once a quarter or once whatever. And we're going to test if we see something off in our systems. But most part, we're not doing anything because we're running calcium reactors.
Yeah, assuming that it has media in it.
Assuming that it has media in it. But at the end of the day, that's it would take something to actually throw, in his case, to be 9 or 3 DKH. Well, his case is because he didn't check or couldn't visually see the media and the reactor. Other than that, it'd be wherever he set it at until he needed to top it off. But that's one good thing about running calcium reactors. Set it, forget it.
Jeremy Young is asking, can you point me in the direction of a commercial RODI? So commercial is, there's different levels of it, right? Mm-hmm. So basically everything that's at the hobbyist level is not commercial, clearly, right? 100 gallons per day, not commercial. Then there's like this pseudo commercial, which is about 1,000 to 2,000 gallons per day. That is the tiniest sliver of a market. I can think of one manufacturer off the top of my head, SpectraPure. We have a SpectraPure unit. It's 1,000 gallons per day. It's pretty good. It's a couple grand. True commercial, I think, starts between 5,000 to 10,000 gallons per day. And that's a unit that I'll be getting here. And I don't even know what it's going to look like.
I think you even need like a big pump it comes with, a big pressurized chamber.
Well, the SpectraPure has that.
Yeah. But if you want a true, you get your wallet out and then you're going to have some extra space for that unit. Trust me.
It's sometimes it's like a wall mounted thing, and sometimes it's a rack mounted thing, meaning that you need a rack sitting on the ground to do that. But the nice thing about commercial systems is that the filters are commercial quality, meaning that you should be replacing those every decade, not like every 6 months. Your RO membrane will last you 10 years if you're not an idiot. So that's nice.
Yeah.
And when you do have to replace it, it'll be $250 to $1,000.
Yep.
But still, that's better than the cheapy, junky RO filters.
I just don't see on a hobbyist level that you would ever really need to go that route. But if you want to, and you got the money, endless money, as Stan would say, call it, I think, endless funds or unlimited funds. Do it. Hello. RG.
Let's see. What's the most popular types of corals you sell? Are they budget or high end?
That's a hard one.
Actually, for me, it's easy.
Well,
I will tell you the 3 best sellers ever at Tidal Gardens.
Pulsing Xenia is one.
Pulsing Xenia, which, by the way, I don't even think is on our site right now. That's how much it sells. Radioactive dragon izoas and eagle izoas, top 3 sellers. They dunk all over the best scolies we've ever had, as far as like price and everything and profit. Like Xenia and inexpensive zoas built this building with the help from the parents. But as far as like my business part of it, definitely like the cheap stuff. We're just now getting into the more high-end stuff, but just to offer it. And once we get the SPS systems here running, I'm going to be delving into like some more higher end stuff as well. But I don't know if it's going to sell better. I have no idea.
He'll have some fire. I'll make sure. Straight fire.
Hopefully, like I can actually keep some of this stuff alive. Yeah, maybe you know what? Maybe this whole time I've just been like this garbage tier hobbyist, and like I can't actually keep anything alive.
It'll do just fine. I'll be dipping my toes in the water to make sure it does just fine.
Greg Jones, do you have any bubblegum digi in grow? I do not.
I think acidic burrito.
Okay.
He said that quite a few times. I don't know if you.
Oh, do you personally name the coral frags you sell, or do they have a common name? Okay. That is the places that are more successful will name it themselves. I tend to not want to do that.
Yeah, me neither.
The reason being is my marketing strategy has a lot to do with showing up in search. So if I were to name something, for example, like this 24K Leptoceras, did not name it. If I just said, oh, this is the Golden Goose Ultra Leptoceras, I'm the only one that would know that I even called it. Nobody else calls it the Golden Goose Ultra Yellow Leptoceras, okay? So because of that, I'm not going to get any traffic to it. But generally in the community, that is known to be a 24K Leptoceras. So if you do a search for it, there might be a good chance that Tidal Gardens shows up. And if you like the price, there might be a good chance I get that sale. So the more commonly known named corals that there are, I would much rather defer to somebody else's creativity on the name, even if I don't like it, than try to come up with my own for everything. Yeah. Now, other people might be the exact opposite. It's like, no, I'm renaming everything that comes through my door. And it's like, okay. And it might work out well for them. I just can't think of that many names.
I'm good on, you either like it, you like it.
I don't have time for that.
This is what I want to, this is what I'm going to sell it for. You take it or leave it.
Cheap stuff is always your bread and butter, pretty much. Yeah, going back to that question. Mm-hmm. If you had to pick one acro, what's your favorite?
That's not going to happen. I can't. People ask me that millions of times, and I'll be honest, acros it's like saying to me, who's your favorite child?
But you know who that is.
No, I actually don't, because they all get on my nerves.
Oh, there you go.
And they're all at different ages and, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, acros they all got their own beauty and uniqueness to them. Different growth patterns, the way they, maybe don't display feeding responses, or, putting in it, but they display crazy colors, or, I don't really have one, to be honest.
I like rainbow colored Millipora. The more yellow, the better.
Yeah, but they like to, they're like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde to me sometimes. They shift colors sometimes.
They're acros. All acros shift colors.
Yeah, I don't like that. But
you're in the wrong business.
That's not the reason why I want to, I would love one, but yeah, I don't know, to be honest.
Some fire corals today. Too bad you can't ship to the Netherlands. So the Netherlands has a very, very, very large commercial outfit called, and I was corrected on this, De Jong. It's spelled Dejong. Okay. Aquatics. I guess it's like the bee's knees as far as like giant coral aquaculture and giant coral import. Like
really?
Yeah, like Summit Mall sized or something.
Wow.
Yeah. So you guys are actually in your own little version of the coral mecca over there in the Netherlands, from what I understand. But then again, what do I know? Maybe there's like drama there that's like, oh, we hate De Jong.
Right.
It's like you never know what you step into. Like you name drop like the wrong thing at the wrong time, because it's like, oh, it's like, I guess like so and so did something similar. They're like, I hate that person.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you bring that person up?
It's like they don't even have a legitimate reason why they hate somebody.
Yeah, gotta roll, guys. Been fun. Thank you too, please. Glad you were able to join. Thanks again for the super chats.
It's normal behavior. Did you see the Facebook?
It's normal behavior when your parameter changes, they will come back. Oh, replying to Honey Baked Ham. or honey glazed ham. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there was a question earlier about
Oh,
like
yes, there
browning out and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Catch you two, please.
De Jong shipped to the whole of Europe. Yeah, they're a big deal. Yeah,
The largest in
yeah,
Europe.
the largest in
Wow.
Europe. Yeah, so it's right there. It's like theoretically, you should have
They
access
should have, yeah.
to a lot, and theoretically, like
what? They always seem like there's nothing over there in the UK and stuff.
well, the UK might be thin, but
They would be the ones that's supplying all that,
they might.
right?
Well, okay, well, the only reason I say like I hem and haw with the UK is because of the whole Brexit situation. But the
Okay.
rest of the EU
Okay.
should have access to quite good. But at the same time, the US is like 70 something or 80 something% of the market.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, De Jong isn't
Oh.
popular here, and we have a lot of soft coral, not much else. Interesting.
That's funny. In Australia, they go in and buy cans this big for pennies on a dollar, and we're spending.
Do they though?
Yeah.
Because
it comes in.
I've heard the opposite also. I've heard that all the good stuff gets sent away.
Whatchamacallit comes on my live stream, man. He's always got big old chunks like this for, and we're paying, but they also what they're getting for pennies on a dollar. They got to spend outrageous prices for some of the stuff that we're getting from their own backyard.
Nasty New was like, I'm in the UK and get De Jong coral. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
RG's got some corals from Rico. Same thing as De Jong. Same thing.
Still doing good. That's what's up.
So Fabian says the coral market's a lot different in Europe. Frags and fancy names are a lot less common. I can see that. Big size colonies are more common. Softies are a big deal. I also heard that like there's very few like trade show type things that are, because here for the international crowd, just so you know, you could go to a frag show every darn weekend. And so like people like sometimes like are like conspiracy theorying that like Than scheduled his thing at the same time so and so in Nebraska scheduled their thing. It's like why isn't he at such and such place and he's doing a live stream? It's like, dude, pick a week. There's something going on every week. Sometimes three different shows on a weekend. Okay, that's how many there are. But I guess in Europe, like nobody's like caught that wave. Like that's not a thing.
Right.
Not even like that there isn't one every week. That there isn't one at all. And I'm like, how is that possible? That there isn't something going on within 30 minutes of London, right? London has like 12 million people living there. How is there not a frag swap for London? Like we have three. Oh, by the way, so 12 million people, that's the whole state of Ohio or something, okay? We have like 5 frag swaps a year.
Yeah.
In this state. And London as a single city has 12 million people and they don't have a frag swap. Yeah. No frag swaps ever. Yeah. It's weird.
50? What does that come out to? That's euros, right?
50
for here
50
for
pounds for
50 pounds for so what is that in
that would be like $80 something
for Pavona?
For free care Pavona. To be perfectly honest, that was probably how much it was going for here not that long ago.
A long time ago.
A couple years.
What's a couple? Like literally 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
No way.
Free care Pavona?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that somebody's got a better deal before.
Craig Jones says UK is like 30 years behind them.
they just discovered mini malls. Oh, that's too damn bad. Peter, hi from Spain.
No, Greg, stop it. Come out the woodwork, dropping bolos.
Way to derail chat there. Cause another border skirmish, as if like Rico doesn't have enough border skirmishes with the UK.
Right.
No, we're all friends. We're
Oh
good.
yeah, you're all friends
Yeah,
after one day.
yeah, we're
Been
fine.
beefing for 12 months, and you have your friends now.
I love everyone, man.
Uh-huh.
I'm on a new high. I got a new big old tank, and hey, it's just a wonderful thing.
You should come more my direction. I like have to hold vendettas forever.
You do.
Forever.
Like, go ahead, guys. Take him off. You will be off the list permanently the rest of your life. There is no second, third, nothing chances.
RG's saying, what would make my A-cans shrivel up all of a sudden? Been like that for 3 weeks.
Water parameters.
A-cans are so temperamental now.
They are. They're like Dunkins, though. They really are. I feel like they're almost like indicator corals as well. They should be classified as an indicator coral. When something's not right, they'll do that. When they're loving life, they should be so voluptuous and open, ready to eat all the time. And
yeah, I think a lot of it also is that nutrition aspect.
Yeah.
And I think we tend to struggle a little bit because our systems aren't well designed for easy feeding. And because they're not, stuff doesn't get fed as much as they should. And the when we had the most success was when for A-cans was when we were feeding gobs of food. Like I would almost go in the direction of treating them like a tabastria, like treating them like a non-photosynthetic.
And that's kind of crazy because where you're going to pick those up, well, I don't know. A lot of fish poo.
Yeah, but I only have like 2 fish in the 300 or something, so they're not getting fed.
No, I'm just saying like where they would be collected at, like the nutrients level there. What do you?
Well, reef nutrient is completely different than like home aquarium nutrient.
Right. There's just tons
there's fog sometimes of food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Than, if you didn't have cats, would you have a home display tank?
No.
Nope. Simply not missing from my life. The amount of effort I try. So, okay, this is funny. So we were hanging out with Steve Shin, who owns another store nearby, 40 minutes away or something, 20-something minutes away. And he was like, Than, do you dress like that all the time? And yeah, basically. And he's, because, we work in the same trade. It's like, he knows how much you put your hands in the water. And it's like, I try so hard to keep my hands out as much as possible now. So yeah, I try not to spend a ton of time even with the aquariums. So it's definitely not missing from my life.
But he's the same person that's, all he wears is cargo pants, like the cargo marine or like military.
And like Under Armour tops.
Under Armour tops. He's always dressing. I'm tank top and shorts. All it's that's crazy to think about how we all just got our own little whatever.
Is YouTube the only way that you advertise your business? We do Instagram, we do Facebook. We used to have a mailing list. We haven't sent out an email in a year. But no, you have to always do multiple channels of promotion, I guess. YouTube is, well, since everybody is watching on YouTube and Facebook, it's pretty good. Mm-hmm. It's pretty good. Not the best, but it's pretty good. I mean, can you imagine that it's a free to use platform to promote your brand? And if you get big enough, they also pay you. Pretty good. That's a good deal.
Instead of burrito. I don't know if you want to answer that or address that.
Living in the UK, recommend that I set up a 20 frag system and a website to sell corals online. A 20-gallon frag system, to be perfectly honest, is not going to do anything for you.
No, it causes you problems.
Yeah,
headache.
If anything, well, but again, it could just be some side hustle. You know what? The amount of experience that you would get from setting up a website to sell coral out of your 15-gallon, you will learn more than what I learned in 4 years of business school. Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead, give it a try. It would be a great learning experience if nothing else, and you might make some dollars on the side for yourself. And also, propagation is always a good idea.
The alien explosion? Zoa?
Alien explosion Zoa. Hey Rico, do you know what?
Never.
Nope, don't know.
Somebody named it that, obviously.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what that is.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap this up in a couple minutes here. Any last minute things? We've gone into 65 corals of overtime, right? So that's a little over an hour that we've gone over. So appreciate everybody's participation. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you all to the Patreon crowd. I would read your names. I'm so sorry, but like my little intro thing that had like multiple thank yous to the Patreon crowd totally bombed on me. So unfortunately, I can't name drop on this particular live show, but I do appreciate all the donations. And actually, I'll thank Rico because Rico is one of the patrons. So there you go.
Sharing is caring.
Are you going to have an awesome DT in the new building? Yes, I will have 2 of them. In fact, they will both be 700 gallons.
One will be his, but one will probably be his dad.
We'll see. We'll see what the dad even wants to like. He'll probably take one look at it like, it's too difficult to put stuff in.
I say probably, yeah, it probably would be. And he doesn't need to be up on no chairs or anything to get in there, for real.
Yeah, don't fall into my tank. Can you tell us how much the build cost is so far, please? It's all the money.
I find that funny. People want to know how much.
Just out of curiosity,
just do a quote, like look up, do a quote, come up and call a custom tank. Go get some quotes for different, and you'll have a general idea.
I think he's asking about the building.
Oh,
like all the money.
Yeah.
It's like all of it.
The whole build. Oh yeah.
And it's to the point now where like I'm just like brainstorming with like the plumber to do stuff. We don't talk prices.
There's no reason to.
It's too damn late for that.
Yeah,
it's too late. It's
over.
Like, what are you gonna do? You can save some money now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No,
you're gonna get exactly what you want. So let's just talk about our options here.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing was actually in the studio. I mean, he's a plumber. He doesn't like do studio stuff. But I want to put up like metal things to hang all these lights and microphones if I need to. Like basically all the equipment I want off the floor. Take all the snake pit and put it on the ceiling and not on the floor. And so we're just talking through like different metal choices and the design of the metal that's going to be up on the ceiling, stuff like that. We don't talk budget.
There's no reason to.
Yeah, it's like at some point he's gonna like hand me a monster-sized bill,
and that's gonna be the end of it.
Yeah, that's just how that goes. In Denmark, we got Nordic Reef, whose import truck loads from Australia. I heard that Nordic Reef fills planes, and I also heard that Nordic Reef is way smaller than De Jong. Like they'll take the entire flight of cargo. Yeah, like multiple like 747s full of corals, sort of thing. Yeah. It makes my soul hurt just thinking about erecting a building right now. Yeah, that's kind of how that is.
My tank is doing good. I guess
My guess is $500,000 all in. That's not all the money.
No, that's not all the money.
Yeah, we'll
I don't just embrace the building.
Yeah.
Forget what it costs.
Well,
Like,
here's the funny thing. There's plenty of places that make way more money than me, like plenty.
Oh, for sure.
And they come over here and they're marveling at like what this place is, and it's just like. It comes down to a worldview difference at that point, because it's like those people could absolutely build this building. They just don't have the resolve to do it because it's very painful to cut those checks.
Yeah, but they have the money to do it, and
some of them are like super rich.
Yeah, literally in just a write-off, whatever.
Yeah. It's like trust me, like there's plenty of places that are way more modest, and those people have tons more. You bought the building? I built it, like
Built it from the ground up.
From the ground. Yeah, yeah.
There was no buying.
We own the land already, so it's just the building.
Bought the materials.
Yeah, it was built. It's actually not even built yet. It's almost built.
It's almost.
And we're getting this much closer to actually getting this place heated. Well, this room heated. The rest of the building is like comfy. So, anyways,
All right.
it's time for dinner or something.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
All right, guys.
Get back to work.
Oh my gosh, what are you doing?
Working on that new thing.
Oh dang. Sorry. All right, guys. Enjoy your weekends. Thank you all for joining us. The live show will, as far as like the purchasing stuff, will be available until about Tuesday. So if you guys are watching this on the replay, you can still participate as far as that goes. All right.